The United States has just launched sweeping global trade investigations targeting major economies, but Canada was unexpectedly left off the list. At a time when tariff tensions are rising across world markets, one quiet strategic move from Ottawa may have helped shift Washington's focus elsewhere. The key question now being asked in financial and political circles is simple. Did Mark Carney's positioning leave Trump targeting everyone else? The Trump administration has officially initiated new trade investigations under Section 301 of the Trade Act of 1974. The move targets a wide range of major trading partners, including China, the European Union, Japan, India, Mexico, and several Southeast Asian manufacturing economies. Officials say the investigations aim to address unfair industrial policies and protect American manufacturing competitiveness.
I think it puts pressure on on everything, to be honest with you. It's going to impact, all stocks across the market, large, mid, and small, as well as potentially, international and global and emerging markets. And so I think that's, my opening remarks were, that's really the linchpin, if you will.
But the real story is just beginning. While markets expected Canada to be included, given ongoing tariff tensions in recent years, Ottawa was not part of the first investigation wave. This unexpected exclusion has sparked immediate speculation among investors, analysts, and political observers. Some see it as a tactical decision by Washington. Others believe it reflects deeper shifts in North American trade dynamics. Either way, the announcement has introduced a new layer of uncertainty and opportunity in global economic relations. U.S. trade officials have argued that many targeted countries benefit from what they describe as excess industrial capacity, often supported by government subsidies. According to the administration, such policies can give foreign companies unfair advantages over American producers. At the same time, Washington has already introduced a separate 10% worldwide tariff under Section 122 of the same 1974 trade law. However, goods that comply with the Canada-US-Mexico Agreement, commonly known as USMCA, are currently exempt from these measures. And this is where the situation becomes more complicated. Statistics Canada recently reported that the country recorded a $5.4 billion merchandise trade surplus with the United States in January, down slightly from $5.7 billion in December. Exports to the US fell 3.8%, while imports dropped 3.4%. Analysts emphasize that Canada's surplus is largely tied to American demand for Canadian oil rather than manufacturing overcapacity. This distinction may have influenced Washington's decision to focus its investigations elsewhere. For months, the Trump administration has been searching for new legal pathways to expand tariff authority after the U.S. Supreme Court limited the use of emergency economic powers for trade measures. The ruling forced policymakers to rely more heavily on traditional trade laws, including Sections 122, 232, and 301. But something else is happening behind the scenes. Trump's broader economic strategy has consistently emphasized reshoring supply chains and reducing reliance on foreign production. Previous tariff waves targeted industries such as steel, aluminum, and automobiles, creating friction with allies as well as competitors. Despite these tensions, Canada and the United States remain deeply interconnected through energy flows, manufacturing integration, and USMCA rules. This complex relationship means that trade policy decisions often carry both economic and political consequences across the border. Financial markets have interpreted Canada's exclusion as a sign of short-term stability in North American trade relations. For companies that depend on cross-border supply chains, especially in energy, automotive, and agriculture, the absence of immediate new tariffs reduces the risk of sudden cost increases. But the real impact extends beyond business planning. Politically, Ottawa may now have greater room to pursue diversification strategies with Europe and Asia without facing direct tariff pressure from Washington. Governments in countries that were targeted by investigations could reassess their diplomatic and economic approaches toward the United States. For global investors, the selective nature of the investigations sends a mixed message. It suggests that trade policy is becoming more strategic and less predictable. This uncertainty can influence currency markets, commodity prices, and long-term investment decisions. At the same time, Canadian exporters must still monitor global demand shifts. If tariffs disrupt supply chains elsewhere, new opportunities or new risks could quickly emerge. But that is only part of the story. The White House has not ruled out the possibility of future investigations involving Canada. Officials have declined to confirm whether Ottawa could be targeted in later phases of the tariff strategy. Experts also note that escalating trade actions against other partners could reshape global demand patterns in ways that indirectly affect Canadian industries, even without direct tariffs. Many observers believe Canada's current position reflects both economic realities and political calculation. Mark Carney's recent focus on international partnerships, supply chain resilience, and financial stability messaging may have strengthened Canada's negotiating leverage, and this is where the situation becomes even more complex. By selectively targeting certain economies while sparing others, the administration is sending signals not only about trade imbalances, but also about geopolitical priorities. Countries facing investigations may feel pressure to adjust industrial policies or seek alternative markets. Meanwhile, nations outside the immediate tariff spotlight could benefit from trade diversion as global supply routes shift. However, Canada's advantage may be temporary. If tariff tensions intensify worldwide, Washington could seek broader measures that eventually include North American partners. The legal structure of trade policy, from congressional authority to multilateral agreements, will play a decisive role in shaping outcomes. Energy dependency is another critical factor. U.S. reliance on Canadian crude helps explain why trade relations cannot be viewed through a purely manufacturing lens. Modern trade conflicts increasingly combine legal frameworks, resource flows, and strategic alliances. Ultimately, the evolving tariff landscape highlights how economic competition and political messaging now move together on the global stage. Canada's absence from the latest investigation wave offers short-term relief but does not guarantee long-term protection from trade conflict. Trump's global tariff agenda continues to reshape alliances, supply chains, and economic expectations across multiple regions. Whether Carney's quiet positioning represents a lasting strategic advantage or simply a pause in escalating tensions remains uncertain. In the coming months, policymakers, businesses, and investors will closely watch how these investigations unfold. The outcome could determine whether North America maintains relative stability or becomes the next focal point in an expanding global trade confrontation.